seen Josh Allen deep ball numbers? What happened
to
the player we once loved? My goodness, look at the passer rating. Look at the attempts a game. What's happened with Josh Allen for this year? What's happened? Now, do I think that's because Josh Allen has atrophied as a player? Of course not, because I'm not a moron. However, if it's fair for the best quarterback in the league for these graphics to pop up.
This is 5 games. When we do Mahomes, we don't do 5 games. We do 20-something games.
We do 20-something games intermixed with Super Bowl appearances and Super Bowl victories. This is 5 games for a player who seemingly needs to be improving every year since he's never actually gotten over the hump. I think it's more of a stylistic choice. But if you're going to play this style, then the turnovers kill you.
Dirty pool.
Why is it dirty
pool?
Because
Mahomes himself says he wants to air it out more, and he's not doing it. Josh hasn't said that.
I don't.
We do that graphic because Mahomes says he wants to do it.
He wants the light show.
Okay. All right. So if that's
look,
Josh, that graphic's unfair. We shouldn't use it. I think it's a statistical accuracy.
We should put some graphics in yellow.
He was a rookie. But he also had, Xavier Worthy last year. Not this year, for most part. But last year he had a deep threat. But I agree with your point about, they have purposely said we're going to be dull.
Yes.
Every month, once every 5 games, Josh goes Superman and does something incredible. But for the most part, they just play pedestrian
football. So this
is
what was flying around. Bills had gone 26 straight games without losing the turnover battle, and they lost it last night and lost the game. It feels like they saw hey, we win the game if we don't turn the ball over, and that they prioritized it.
But again, I'll wear the black hat. If we can't get through the T's without saying, and that's you mostly joking, I think you serious, how impressive really is the Chiefs scoring 37 on Baltimore? Yeah. Then we can't get through the Bills segment without saying how impressive is a single thing on their resume.
Agreed.
I understand they scored 41 on Baltimore instead of 37 while resting the starters in the fourth quarter. But that game, was a miracle win. The Jets, they blew out. That owned them from start to finish. The Jets are the only winless team in football. Miami, they're tied with 8 minutes left. Right. Mike McDaniel's walking off the field looking like the saddest man in America. Right. The Saints, they're up 2 with 8 minutes left, and they just lost to New England.
Yeah.
So, if the deflation of impressiveness from beating the Ravens hits no team harder than this team, because we were looking at them as juggernaut adjacent because we thought we saw them go toe-to-toe with another juggernaut. We now know that evidently was not the case.
I buy that. Let's head to Philly, where the Eagles had yet another weird game, and this time it cost them. They blow a 14-point fourth quarter lead and then fight over a Hail Mary that wasn't to be. Here's Jalen Hurts.
Certain things don't get you until they get you. And we're obviously in pursuit of our best self and pursuit of growth. So give a lot of credit to that team. They played an outstanding game. Executed situationally when they needed to, and they won that battle. And so we got to go back and really learn from this, take ownership for the things that we can control.
Brew, are the Eagles in trouble?
No. And I predicted this. I would have been covered in confetti had your Patriots not won, and you one-upped me in the picks. But I picked this because I just felt they're going to lose at some point, the Eagles, and they'll probably lose another game or 2 or more. And, I thought this was a good chance for Denver to do that. But, no, I don't think they're in trouble. Now, look, most people, when they don't win the Super Bowl this year, most people will say, you saw it all year. It just wasn't right. I'm not saying that. I'm not picking them to win the Super Bowl. I'm not even picking them to get to the Super Bowl. When I say nothing's wrong, I mean they're still a top-flight contender. They will still be right there in the mix in the NFC playoffs with viewed as one of the top teams to go to the Super Bowl. So that's what I mean by nothing's wrong. I don't like the coordinator at this point. I'm sorry.
I don't know how you could.
Right. And it seems like, Nick, and I'll bring up Baltimore quickly. why can't they get the right balance? Now, I guess you can say last year the Ravens did with Henry going for almost 2,000 and Lamar having a great year. But this year they couldn't so far. And they go 4-0 with Jalen throwing it 25 times a game. Then out of the blue, you come out and he throws it 38, and you only run Saquon 6 times. That's the fewest amount of carries he's had as an Eagle for sure. But I believe in his entire career, in a game in which he didn't get hurt or wasn't coming back from an injury.
Literally, probably since he picked up a football.
Right? Yes. Actually, probably. You're absolutely right. And so I don't. And now, Nick, maybe, and I think you made a good point last week when you said maybe they're practicing. Maybe they're seeing, okay, can we throw it more? And I would be fine with that. I don't think that was the case, but I would be fine with that.
I don't think that would be a bad strategy.
No, I think they're fine. Obviously, the offensive line isn't what it was last year, but I think they can get it going again. And I do not think Saquon is washed. But I get it. His numbers aren't great. I would stand behind him and say he's still the same guy.
Don't you think there's a difference? There's a big delta, though, between washed and the exact same guy he was last year? Couldn't he be somewhere closer to, the guy of last year than washed, but not?
Yeah.
Because that's what I think. I don't think he's washed.
Look, the numbers are insane. We wouldn't see this in any other player.
Well, we're seeing it with Derrick Henry right now.
Similar, 125 to 53.
And so, again, wash to me implies
it's not
means your career's over. Yeah. I just think, do I think he is likely to have a down season? I do.
But like this?
I thought he'd get like 1,500 yards, which was saying a lot because nobody's ever done that.
And 1,200 I thought would have been a great year, and right now they'd sign up for it. I want to give you, Wilds, some real data and then some fuzzy data.
Love it.
Okay? The real data is, as I said last week, Philadelphia, play a normal game challenge. Impossible. They have had, through 4 games, 2 of the 5 worst passing halves any team has had across the NFL this year. They now, through 5, so there it was. The Eagles, the worst half and the second worst passing half any team's had all year in any game. They now are on this same list for the worst rushing halves anyone has had in a game all year. And by the way, added fewest yards rushing, they had the lead most of the half. So in theory, some teams are down a ton and they have no choice, but no.
And that's the second half. You're up 17-3.
Exactly.
Heading into the fourth quarter, usually
so like the Lions at Green Bay were down the entire second half, week 1. They're not running the ball.
And you have a rushing quarterback.
So they can't.
It's not
on top of that.
So I am not opposed to them saying let's work on the passing game during the game. But some semblance of normalcy or balance, I think, would be helpful.
Yes.
So that's the hardcore data.
Give me the fuzzy
Here's the fuzzy data. You know who thinks the Eagles are in trouble?
Oh. Yeah,
show. Kevin Wildes tweets on the Eagles the 21 days leading up to the Chiefs game. 18 in 21 days. Almost 1 a day. Since then,
I'm a front
runner. 1.
I am a front runner.
1.
What do you want me to say?
This guy is worried. He's worried.
Chris Bumbaka of USA Today had this headline. I'm like, this is exactly how I feel. Loss to Broncos shows Eagles can't or won't run Saquon Barkley. And I think that's the question about the whole team. Are you not doing stuff or you can't do this stuff? You can't get the ball to A.J. Brown, or are you choosing not to strategically? And I know they're like, we're the Eagles. We're like water. We take whatever shape that we're in, or we're like a chameleon. We can, adapt to our environment. No, I'm saying that. Okay. It's like, we can play any style. Yep. It's like, or you're just identityless. That you just come in and you're like, I don't know, what are we going to do this game? Throw the ball, run the ball? It's very hard to wrap your head around what this team is. I'll tell you what they don't feel like, Brew. Champions. They don't feel like a championship team who knows who they are, who has an identity for success and wants to just run the table or just like play consistent football with an identity.
No, look, I think you make some good points there. And I think, and you do too, Sirianni is a very good, like his record is his record. The dude wins, so you got to give him credit. Plus, he's got a Super Bowl. But he doesn't come off as serious as a Matt LaFleur. And I'm not, LaFleur hadn't won a Super Bowl, but Sean McVay, like, he's a little silly. And he gets into it with the fans and the opponents, and he talks trash. No, what I'm saying is when a coach is like that, it's almost like I think that's why you have the chatter out of the locker room. Some coaches, you're not going to have that type of chatter. Belichick, you weren't ever going to have that type of chatter coming out of the locker room.
The Chiefs last year, when they were having a similar year to this, there would be none of it.
Right. You don't hear, like, there's no random players going to say
was
something.
Internal.
Yeah.
And
so that's all I'm saying. Like, that can lead to
also it might just
being
be
kind of all over the place.
In over his head. It might be that the offensive coordinator overly reacts to the media criticism of the previous week and overcorrects.
Give the ball to Saquon Barkley.
Well, we were saying throw the ball a week ago.
Well, again,
but can we find a balance? Right? Can we get a balance?
Oh, wow. What grade will Professor Broussard give the Cowboys? The large question. Oh my goodness! No. It's obscene. Bro, what are you doing? Man of faith doing gross stuff. Oh. And the doorstep of destiny. After the break. Pixelated out.